I'm really excited about taking part in this video for Black History Month, to be able to contribute to this year's theme, which is Standing Firm in Power and Pride. And that, I think, speaks volumes of the Black community here in the UK. But I'm originally from Wales, and I'm originally from a place called Tiger Bay, which is the first and biggest multicultural area in the UK. And my grandfather, who came here from Somalia, is in the BBC history books as being a seaman who came and married in the UK my grandmother here, who was of mixed race, in Cardiff in Buttown in 1925. And there's pictures of this wedding in our history books. So I'm very proud to say that I come from a multicultural heritage.
I've been a Woodley resident for the last 10 years and a Woking Borough resident for 40 plus years. I'm a first generation Windrush, which meant that my parents came here from the West Indies in the 1950s and 60s, and I was born here. My parents came from Barbados. We were asked to come here to help rebuild Britain as part of the World War II ask and rebuild programme. And my mum, who is one of my heroes, was an NHS nurse, and my father was a postman. And I have other family. My grandmother worked at Huntley and Palmer's in Reading all of her life through to her retirement, and my grandfather worked in a paper mill in Thatcham. So we're all very local, all very Berkshire based.
I am Francis Kaninda, originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I speak French, I speak Lingala, I speak Swahili, and English is my fourth language. But that is not the barrier. The barrier doesn't exist when you work for Wokingham Borough Council. And that is married with the council ambitions, act of togetherness. And the togetherness is what I do as a community engagement officer. We reach out to the community for the cost of living, for being able to make sure they understand that the council is here to hear their voice. Let's get everybody working together. I have gained the trust of my community. I have gained the trust of our leaders at the council. I also have gained the trust of the people that we represent. They have removed the negative perception which they used to have against the council, and especially being a Black person in the white community, it was a serious challenge. But today, the barriers are broken.
So we will step up when the council asks us, what do they really want? And we've been part of, for example, the equality and diversity and inclusion policy lately that was put out to the public. And we are very, very pleased that the policy is now alive and accepted, and the public need to be reassured that the policy is because their voice was listened to. It is about bringing all communities together through culture, through education, through health. You know, whatever you turn around and look at, we bring the equality and diversity and inclusion policies along. Going forward with that, now I'm happy to declare on the 23rd of October this year, the council declared themselves as an anti-racist or anti-racism council. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, what disability you belong. And that's the most important thing. And the EDI policy that we have, or equality, diversity and inclusion policy that we have in Wokingham, is that policy that is alive and that is for you.
What does inspire me is that our kids, my kids, look at each other and they don't see colour. They just see people. I'm very proud that we have a good mix of families and of religions, of everything you can think of in one area. If we go back 40 years, if you walked around on a Saturday morning and you looked at football teams that were playing on fields, and this is no disrespect, but they were mainly white. Nowadays, if you walk around those same fields and football grounds in this area, the mixture and the diversity is something to behold. I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's another way that the community contributes with each other, if they interact with each other. That's just one way of doing things.
When we moved to Wokingham, my eldest daughter said, "Oh, Mum, you know, it's quite a white area you're moving to, and how is that going to be for her younger brothers who were still at school?" But actually moving into Wokingham, what we found was a really welcoming community who were interested in who we were and what our contribution was. Sometimes we don't always acknowledge the contribution of the black community and what we've been able to achieve.
There should be a responsibility on us as parents and us as counsellors. What we need to do is start educating the youth. There are a lot of fairs that go on, and what would be good for me is if you have a school fair or school fete, it's probably easy for me to say it than do it, but have a cultural stand, something that gives information to people that aren't quite sure.
We need to do more in our schools to educate and bring black history into schools, into the curriculum, so that education is part and parcel.
Repatriations, that's a big word. I mean, going back to slavery, yes, it needs to be recognised. I would say that history is history. What we need to do is look forward. Acknowledge everything that has happened. The key thing is to understand our identity, understand where we've come from. Yes, reference it, but don't hold a grudge.
What standing firm in power and pride means to me is something I've thought about recently. And you know, my son is 6'2", he is black, he has locks, and for some people just the way he looks could come across as him looking aggressive. He is the most kind-natured person you can come across. But how we look and how we present, sometimes there is a misjudgment and a misconnection. I'm not happy with that language being used. It's a microaggression, and there's been a lot of work done since Black Lives Matters, marches and protests, and all the work that's been done around raising understanding and awareness, and it almost felt like we were going backwards. But I stand firm, and that's what it means to be. I stand firm in being able to challenge things like this, because if we don't challenge, how do we change them? If we don't challenge, how do we learn?
When I think back to the days that my mother was working in NHS as a midwife, meeting thousands of people per year and delivering hundreds of babies per year, I'm proud of the way that she stood up in the face of adversity. She stood firm against discrimination, against hate, and against people that just didn't like her simply because of the colour of her skin. But she knocked down those barriers, and what that has given us is a better place to live now.
Taking part in this video is me coming forward as a member of the black community to say action is everything, and let's take action to make sure that we are valued, our contributions are heard, and we are part of the journey moving forward.